Hello, my name is Allison, recording from the United States. The purpose of this video is to reach out to parents, educators across the board, and possibly new RBTs, those who are thinking about getting into the field of being a registered behavioral technician. It is a beautiful and rewarding field to get into. But your heart has to be into it for it to really, really be effective. I've known about ABA therapy without me even knowing I knew about it way before it even started. I've used that same pretty much behavior system while my children were growing, and I remember my grandmother using some of those techniques. Now I know she was a teacher, so I guess that comes natural. But when my son was diagnosed, I kind of already somewhat had a passion of the mind. I've always been attracted to helping children, even when I was a child, believe it or not. And I've always taught my children to be that way. And my son, who was diagnosed with ADHD, and he was on the autism spectrum disorder. He had ODD. He was diagnosed with all that. Today, he's soon to be 18. He's a graduate, and he'll be starting mechanic school a day shy of him turning 18 years old. So it was a long battle, absolutely, from the time he was diagnosed till today. I had to become really creative, but before that, he had his little delays, which I didn't put two and two together. I didn't see any reason until the light was shed. Now, when the light was shed and a birdie tapped on my shoulder and gave me a little wake-up call, I didn't ignore it. I literally paid attention to it, and I said, "Wow, well, if something is wrong, why wouldn't I want to fix it now?" So somebody recommended therapy, and I got him on therapy. And soon after that, he was evaluated. And after that, just things rolled, and they haven't stopped till this very moment. And it was challenging in the beginning, absolutely. And that's why I want to talk to parents about this, because I've been through the beginning of school till the very end. So I could talk about the struggles, but not only the struggles, but the solutions. I was taught many years ago, if you ever come to the table with a problem, always come with a solution with it. So I always remembered that. And when I started addressing the school, I came to the school with the solutions, and they didn't want to hear it. They thought it was a behavior problem. And I told him no. I said, no, it's not. He's the only child in the home that it can't be a behavioral problem. He's not spoiled. He gets everything that is by rewards for the most part. I just didn't implement it the way I did. It was just the way I raised my kids. And so I said no. And his grades were dropping, and I had to figure out why. And I called. The school didn't want to help, so I called the special ed department just because I thought that's who could help me. And I was talking to the lady, and that lady called me up at 10 o'clock in the evening, talking to me, assuring me back in 2012 that my son will have his meeting with the school as soon as FCAT testing was over. I had my meeting, that was like April 13th. I had my meeting April 22nd. Okay, and that same principal who told me that my child doesn't have a problem was in that meeting. But when I went to that meeting, well, in between the time of that testing, I ran out and I started learning, and I started packing and packing and packing myself with knowledge to be ready for that meeting. I wanted to know what the meeting was going to be about, so I read on it. Well, that started my binder. And you'll be pretty shocked on what my binder looks like today. Now, in the beginning, Parents, I didn't know. I didn't know anything. Just like a lot of you who are just starting this journey don't know. And some of you who have been on this journey know some, but maybe some helpful tips I can give you today. And that's the purpose of this video. So, at the beginning, when I started, obviously it was not this big. Yes, parents. Obviously, in the beginning, it was pretty empty. It only had his neurologist report and, the paperwork that I just got and a whole bunch of accommodations. I added a whole bunch of things that I think would help my child. And I learned from that moment forward to document everything. Anything you talk about, a lot of times in the school, you're there alone. Maybe you have one other person with you. There, they have different people from different places that actually come from the outside that could serve as a witness. As long as you're with somebody, their testimony might not mean anything. So I learned to document. I leave that meeting, I'm sending them an updated email, what we got out of that meeting and what we will follow up with. And that's how it started. And over the years, I've collected everything from his medical, every report card. I'm not saying I have every single report card, but I have plenty. Every single letter that I've ever written to the school, for the most part, is in here. Anything that needed documentation, I made sure I did. And let me tell you what, the schools really react when you email them. I taught my daughter that, and I proved it to her not too long ago. So document everything, parents. It's a battle out there. Sometimes the educators, they don't want to listen. They prefer to push it aside instead of address it, unfortunately. While you have others that really do care and do address it. So when we were in that meeting, I went in there prepared with my binder. I had accommodations. And when they asked me, what did I want them to do for my son? I said, well, I want to get him the help that he needs. And then we started talking about the 504 plan. He's able to be in the normal classroom setting. I told him I don't think he needs to be not in one. And they pushed back and they said his IQ is so high, why would you think your kid has a problem and this and that? And I said, well, then you tell me why his grades are falling. Well, what has changed in the home? I said, nothing has changed in the home. And then I proceeded, instead of them asking me, I went ahead. There has been no death in the family. There has been no breakup in the family. There has been no traumatic events in the family. There is no arguing in the family. There is no fighting. So there's nothing that's going to throw him off balance in the home. It's something in school. Not saying it's the school's fault, but it's something to do in school, academically. At home, he's okay. I mean, he runs around and all this good stuff, and that was before he was diagnosed. So, right in the transition of him being diagnosed and him getting diagnosed, everything started falling in place. Why he ran around and why I would get the phone calls from the school that he was on stage and he was jumping and running. I said, well, he's in modeling, so he's used to being on the stage, all that good stuff, but I didn't let that be an excuse. So when he was diagnosed officially and we had that meeting and all that good stuff, I looked at that principal and I said, I came to you with concern and you tried to turn my back away. You told me you didn't think this was something I should be doing. And you told me you don't think that I would like to endure the journey of going through the process. And I told you, let that be my decision. Let that be a decision that a mother makes, not a person who has nothing to do with the child or nor who wants to help the child who's struggling. And I left it at that. And the meeting was over. My son got his 504 plan. What I did was I allowed the school Yes, you're hearing me correctly. I allowed the school to add accommodations, but I added mine, and I knew what would benefit my child. And I say that very clearly because you parents know your child more than anybody else. You know the struggle that you go through when you're at home. Now, academically, absolutely, the educators have a higher intelligence of detecting, but parents have a very, very, very important role to play in their child's doings throughout the day, what they struggle with, what makes them happy, what makes them sad, what makes them tick. We know, we live with it. So it's important that you stay completely involved and you don't let nobody be the leader. You be the leader. You show them that this is your son and you're doing what's best for your son. You're not going to ask for anything outside of the normal, let's say. You don't need to. Hey, accommodations. When I made my accommodations, they said, okay, we're going to take homework away. I said, no, we're not going to take homework away. No, that is a way to tell me what my child is struggling with. No, the parents like it when they take the homework away because they don't have to go through the struggle. But then how do you know what the heck your child is learning? I mean, that's one really important way to see where your child is at on academically. Because in school you don't know except by his grade. So if you see he's struggling something, you could have the opportunity. And I just want to express, parents, we hold the key. This key right here, imagine this key being your child. This is the key. Take this key and do what you gotta do with it to open that door to success each and every step of the way. Okay, now I also wanted to bring out something that may sound silly, but I don't think it is, and at least to me it's not. It's my way of maybe explaining to some of the parents who really don't understand like the way their child thinks. Because hey, listen, when we get pregnant and we know we're having a baby, we don't think about, is he going to be autistic? I mean, sure, is he going to be normal? I think it goes through every parent's mind, but we don't look for these things, so we don't know. And just to give you a little insight, I said, you know what? A child's brain, I look at it as being like a camera on manual focus. You have to actually adjust the lens, which is their brain, to focus. And the focusing is to get them to do what we need them to do. And I know it may sound like a silly little comparison, but just imagine that. All he needs is a little focusing, a little guidance, a little help. Their brains they're just wired a little bit different, but they're beautiful people. High functioning autistic children will do fine in life if they get the right therapy. I say the right setup, and I call it a recipe. Every recipe is different. Every child's brain is different. Every struggle is different. If you look behind me, I actually have a backdrop of a mask. And the reason why I put this is behind every behind every mask hides a beautiful brain that wants to unmask itself, meaning himself or herself. And sometimes they're afraid to do that because they're afraid of what society would say. They struggle. They struggle with emotions and feelings, and it's up to us to make them feel comfortable, make them feel safe and they belong, make them feel protected. And if you give them those little things, and I say this to the parents, your child's gonna feel safe with you. And they're going to open up to you, and it's your perfect opportunity to dig in their brain, to find out how they feel, what they feel, why they do what they do. Like, really pick their brain. I used my son as my case study, and today I'm in psychology. But I literally used his brain. I was so into understanding why he did what he did, because at times he would tell me he doesn't know why he did what he did, and he would have those impulsive moments, and I would think about why, what makes it tick, what gives it to him. Once in a while, if he just wakes up or if he's tired, he will still have one of those little moments, but they're never aggressive. It's once in a very blue moon. I worked with him when he was between the ages of 7 and 9, really hard to get him to pretty much stabilize, and then I just had to maintain the behaviors that he was struggling with before I even tried medication. Now, listen, I'm not against medication, not at all. I just don't think kids just need to be thrown on medication without being given a chance to be given help, and see what the help does before the medication. Medication did wonders for my son. His concentration level was through the roof. It was like, wow. But then he got to a point where he didn't want the medication anymore. He was 12, gonna be 13, and he told me he doesn't want it. So he was on medication for literally 2 years. The first dosage, which was 20 milligrams, wore off. And right at the end of the first, almost getting into the second year, and we had to up it a little bit after I tried everything in my power. What happened? His grades went down again. So it was a mixture of puberty, the school not being cooperative, and my son not having anybody to listen, who would listen to him. And despite us crying for help, the school didn't listen. So eventually they will get a letter from me to who my son is today. In a nice way, of course. I'm all about, hey, listen, don't push a child who needs help away. That is why I have done what I've done over the years. I've learned about mental health on my own because I've always been intrigued by it. I've read a lot. I've been to different places for mental health, who gives, classes and all that good stuff. And I watch YouTube videos, and I study. I actually watch and study the kids' brains as I'm around them. I'm a photographer, so I actually get to photograph these children, and I study them. And it's funny to talk about that because I actually took photos of an autistic girl about a year ago, and in her mind, nonverbal, in her mind, she was as if she was holding a guitar. As I was doing the session, I just kept seeing that pose. I let her do it. The pictures came out fabulous. And, you wonder, what is she thinking? A guitar. She has music. Music is very soothing to these children, especially if you put them down to do homework, or even at nighttime before they go to sleep, put on some crazy enough Mozart, stuff like that. It's good for their brain. So let's move on. Parents, as I said, listen, I've been through it all. Doctors, therapists, neurologists, my son dropping the pencil, not being able to sit, getting in trouble for running around, the whole 9 yards. I've been through it. Grades bad. I learned. Now, what made me learn and what made me, I guess, become the person that I am today is I had a vision. And I had this vision before my son was even diagnosed. And I for sure was not going to let ADHD squash my vision that I had. So I had this vision of my son, and thankfully he's pretty much come out that way. And it took a lot of hard work, parents. It's a lot of work, trust me. It's a lot of work. It's dedication, it's consistency. You got to be persistent. You got to be quick. You have to have plan B already planned before plan A even starts. Like, I kid you not. Okay, when the school calls you, you got to be ready to fly over there and resolve the issue. Like, that was me. Like, 30 minutes, I was there. That's how intimate I was with my son and his diagnosis. I was so into it, so passionate in helping him, that I did whatever I needed to do to get him where he needed to be. And yes, he went through a lot of struggles. He went through a lot. But what I did was, I'm going to show you. A lot of parents don't believe in this, and it's everybody's choice. But every child I've dealt with, and every parent that I've helped implement, this, it's worked. Because I say every child wants something. At some point, they want you to buy them something, or they want to do something fun. So, here is what I set up over the years. Obviously, I used this for my son, but here you have desk reminders. Let's talk about how to get this. Let's talk about that, okay? See, you give them, like, you set them up for success, in other words. You see this? I got timers. I got all that good stuff. Now, there's behavior books. I'm going to show you a couple of things that that I've used over the years, and I personally believe making it fun for children is the whole, like, secret into getting them to do what they got to do to get where they got to get to. And some ways, with my son, what I would do is he liked these. So what did I do? I said, okay, he liked them, and I knew he liked them. So I took advantage. Hey, Jeremiah. Yes, Mom. How do you spell like? And we would actually do words and whatever I needed him to do. Like, he had fun. It was a way of him learning. How much are these? $30 maybe? $30 to, like, motivate your kid? That's priceless. Now, some might, like, kind of have a different vision on what I am going to talk about this timer here. Children with ADHD, they have a hard time focusing, obviously, and autism, they have their ways of understanding and all that good stuff, right? Well, with my son, I would use the timer like this. Though there's electronic ones, I do have a couple of other ones, but see, the ticking noise. Though you may think that this is like a distraction to them if they're doing their work, and maybe in the beginning it is, but the more you have them with the timer, the more their brain gets used to listening to it, that eventually they'll be able to, for the most part, tune this out and do their work. And then maybe once in a while look up, like we all do, and try to beat the timer. Now, while they're doing their work, you got to keep them motivated. You don't just walk away when they're doing their homework, because obviously they're going to drift. Even with the timer, they'll drift if you're not there. So as long as you're present, keep them motivated. Hey, Matthew, you got this. Check it out, dude. You got this. All right, let's see. The next question, you need any help? And then, if they say no, or if they need help, then you help them. and then you let them do it on their own. You get them into a routine. A lot of parents' homework is like, whew, madhouse. And I get it. I've been through it. I know. But if you offer those rewards, the behavior bucks, everything that they do good, you go ahead and you reward them. Now, you don't need to reward kids with big rewards. You reward them with stickers when they're little. Their favorite ice cream. They go in the supermarket, they could pick out their favorite cereal. Parents think that, hey, no, if you're on the reward system, they're gonna knock you broke. They're really not. If you're creative, they're not gonna make you broke. So, now one of the things I think where, I got, like, kind of what I know is, when I was little, my grandmother used to play the game, and I think for the older people, maybe in their 70s now, maybe you guys could relate, because I'm 50, so maybe you could relate. Simon Says. My grandmother used to play Simon Says with us, and the other day I was thinking about that, and I was like, that's the way she taught us how to understand when you can do something and when you cannot, in some sort of way. So Simon Says, if Simon says you can move forward, you move forward. If Grandma says you could touch, then you touch. If Simon does not say Simon Says, and he just says touch, no, you're not supposed to do it. Simon says, and then you could do it. But if Simon doesn't say, you don't do it. And I think that was a way of her teaching us her way. And it kind of made sense, it made sense. And I guess that's why I'm so good at, when I'm dealing with children, I like to play. I like to play. I like to be silly. I like to keep them motivated and entertained. So if that means that I need to be silly for them to learn how to read the word red, then I'm gonna be silly until they learn how to read the word red. Most of the time I could do it really, really quick, and I have videos on it. I've taught my granddaughter, who's 7, how to do multiplication in just one session. She's done a video on it. I've taught my other granddaughter how to read words in just 10 minutes. But what I do is I teach them, and I keep going back to it. I keep revisiting it. I leave it on the board. I'm like a huge person when it comes to dry erase boards. I have them all in my home. I use them. If I was to turn the camera around, I use them like for everything. Okay, I use them for everything. I have them all over the house. I have them on my entrance wall. When my son was growing up, I had it adjacent to that wall. I have one entering as he's going into his room, and then I have a very large one in my room. And then I have others, like you just saw there, scattered around my house for whenever I need to make messages and leave them around. Grandkids love them. Children love to write on those, so it's a good thing to have at home to teach. It's great. Now, let's go ahead and move on. So I'm looking down because I wrote like a few pages of what I want to talk about, because I don't really want to miss anything. But for those who are studying art to be an RBT, God bless you. God bless you for what you're doing, because it's a rewarding job, and you really have to have a dedication and understanding for what you're doing it for and why you're doing it. What you're doing it for is to, you're doing it to fulfill your humanity role in life, which is a beautiful thing to do. And why are you doing it? You're doing it because you're helping a child reach his level or higher, that eventually will lead him to success as he grows up. So what you're doing is very, very, very rewarding. And for those who are doing it just for the money, learn to love to do it. I'm not going to say get out of it, because that's not fair to say. Learn to love to do it and learn the rewards of it, that every child's mind that you touch is something that you'll be part of for the rest of your life. You'll never know it. He'll never know it, but you are, secretly, invisibly. So that's how much passion you should put into when you're dealing with these children. Put your whole heart into it. It's a beautiful, beautiful field to get into. I've been around children. See, now the timer went off, and now the child knows that, sorry, I didn't mean to jump, but now the child knows that he needs to turn in his work or whatnot. I left it on purposely so you could hear, you know, how it sounds and all that good stuff. Anyway, so RBTs is a beautiful field. You'll learn how to get their attention. Just be creative, be funny. I know there's a lot of games out there, but you could do other things other than just playing the games. I like to give rewards that are all about teaching. Yes, iPads teach, absolutely, and kids love them, and I absolutely incorporate that in my home with my grandchildren. They know the routine. They come to grandma's house. If I pick them up from school, they're to come home, take a shower, eat, then they play with their iPad. If it's the weekend, we eat breakfast, they get dressed, then they get to eat, play with their iPad. So everything I like to keep controlled, because that keeps them in line. It gives them structure, and kids like structure. Yes, a kid will run to where they could be free. Absolutely, they would go there first. But in reality, children across the board like structure. And it teaches them how to be a good person. So it's a double positive there. You know, there's lots of things, you know, with these diagnoses that there is to learn. So I may be like really strong in some, and maybe others I'm not. So if I don't mention other fields of it, obviously, clearly that's because I may not be so educated on that, and that's okay. It's like when you're a photographer, you're going to go ahead and specialize in something. When you're a doctor, you're going to specialize in something. Well, for me, I specialized in just how to work with high-functioning children on the autism and ADHD autism spectrum disorder, and then, you know, those with ADHD and all. I talk to people across the board. I mentor people all the time. I do not act by any means as a professional therapist, but I'll be damned if somebody's going to walk past me having a sad face on them and me not uplifting them. Okay? We in society all have a role to play of keeping each other at their top level if we can. Okay? Yes, we're all responsible for our own mental health, absolutely. But in life, things happen, and we should all play the role of keeping each other, you know, in tune. And when it comes to children, they don't understand that. They don't get what we understand. They don't understand why they're feeling the way they're feeling. They don't understand all that, and their brain is just filled a little bit. You have to understand, it's like a brand new computer. You're entering information in it, but you've only reached a certain point. You've only reached page, I don't know, 500 out of 5 million. So remember, they're little. They don't understand. So you got to have patience with them. Their mental capacity is only so large, where if you tell them stop jumping, have you explained to them why they need to stop jumping? Not just you're going to get punished. Stop jumping because, and then you say why. So you know, there's just so many things, you know, that we learn on the way. But there's one thing I can tell you, parents: if you have a child who's small, 2-3 years old, and you start seeing things that, you know, just don't seem to be right, you can let a little bit of time go by and see if it passes, but don't let a lot of time go by without checking it out. It may be nothing, but it may be something. And if it's something, the earlier you start working on it, the better of a chance your child's going to have at full capacity of life. That's what we want. That's our intention. That's our goal. Always have the vision. Like I was saying earlier, I had a vision with my son on where I wanted him to be, and I worked on that, and I didn't let anything get in the way. Yes, there was lots of trials in between. There was lots of moments of maybe being a little scared, moments of doubt. I went through it all. But I learned along the way that your child is gonna express themselves as best as you communicate with them. So if you communicate with them, I think on a level of security, on a level of you're safe with me, mom understands, I'm not going to talk down on you like they do, but show them that you're always protecting them. Those type of children, they're most likely going to open up to you. And if you get them at the right moment, always using reverse psychology, they might open up to you and tell you what's wrong and tell you what they're feeling. While the ones who are being pushed aside and always bashed and all, why would they want to open? They get pushed aside. They feel why. Now they don't feel that they matter. And a kid should not feel that way. No kid should. No kid should be bullied. And parents, we are all responsible for teaching our children on being a bully and identifying who's being a bully. Say something if somebody's being a bully. Because we wouldn't want that for our children. So best you could do is educate our children. The more we educate, and when I say our children, I mean anybody who's watching this video, whether you have a child on the spectrum or not. It is our job as parents and society to teach each child respect. We need to teach them morals. We need to let them know what's right and what's wrong. And don't leave it up to them to decide, because they don't know. We need to teach them, and as they grow, then you let them decide. But while a minor, no, you're in charge, parents. We are in charge of our children, and it is our job to seek help if there's a problem with our children, because it's not fair for the child himself to have to go through something that he doesn't understand. So, that's kind of the whole reason why I made this video, because there's a lot of children out there that aren't being treated. And that's why I step in, and I always encourage parents all the time. I give them the most simplest phone number, 211 211. Two numbers you have to remember, 211. Seek help. I give you the help that I can give you, but I'm not a professional and I don't act as one. I just share my knowledge. Pretty soon, yes, hopefully I will be a professional once I graduate from college. So I'm almost there. What we give our kids today, and this goes across the board, educators, parents, therapists, psychologists, what we give our children today is going to make a difference for their tomorrow. And I'm just a true believer of that. Now, what I have done, with my son, I opened up a book one day. Now remember, I've used the reward system for years. I've just used it, like way before it became popular with ABA therapy. And it kind of makes sense why in the schools they were like, looked at me kind of, why are you offering me this? Which wasn't for them. Obviously it was for my child. It was stickers, and I'll get into that now. But what I did was I opened up a book and I read one page, and it said, I think it said the token system. That's all I read. I didn't read anything else. I kind of already knew what that was. I didn't need any training. I closed the book and I ran off and educated myself on what his diagnoses were. And then I just implemented a plan in the home. I implemented a plan to get me to that vision that I had. In order to get that vision, I had to be a goal. In order to reach that goal, there needed to be a plan. And to make a plan, I had to have a vision. I had to see where I wanted him to go. Where do you want to see your child get to? You want to see your child get to sit in his chair without dropping his pencil? Work on that. One task at a time. You want to get your child to be able to get his homework done without having to pull your hair out and take 3 and 4 hours to get it done. Listen, it's possible. You just have to be creative. You have to build the home based on your child's needs. Now, if you have other children, of course, that's going to be a little difficult to do, but you got to try to get your other kids on board, and you could even implement the same exact things with your other children because it works just as well, for the normal mainstreaming kids. Now, some of the things that I've done, one of the things that I did with my son was, one of the things I worked with him was sitting at the table, being able to eat dinner without getting up. Now, I was in a new relationship, and I didn't want to ruin the relationship, and he pointed out a couple of things. Thankfully, he worked with me, and he guided me, and he helped my son, and he was great over the years. But he pointed something out, and I ran with that, just like when they said maybe your son needs therapy. It was all in that same time, and I didn't want to disappoint this man, so that gave me motivation to have my son sit at the table. Well, I implemented a reward. It worked perfect. I saw that, and I was like, okay. So then I started implementing a couple of more, and then that's when I brought the teacher in. And now, let me tell you, in the beginning, some teachers are going to push back. Maybe not so much anymore, but I know back then when my son first started, they pushed back. They were like, they really did not want to help. And I kind of had to force them to help. And I said, this is my kid. I know what my kid needs, and we need to do this the same way. What I'm doing in my home, I need you to do in school. And then I made them, on the 504 plan, they put communication. I had that they had to either put a buck or a sticker in the book of the communication log, letting me know. They didn't even have to write anything. All they had to do was put a sticker. If he was not so good, then they would write why. And of course, we would always go over it. Now, if he earned 5 days, he earns a reward. If he does not earn 5 days, then he's got to go to square one. The next week, we'll try again. Eventually, they could do it. Some weeks they can't. Kids are going to hit and miss. It's normal across the board. So never expect them to always be perfect. But the point is to get them to have structure and routine and what they could do and what they can't do, what they should do and what they shouldn't do. So having children dropping their pencil, they drop their pencil for a reason. It's not because they want your attention. They have so much freaking energy that they're trying to expel the energy. So dropping their pencil is a way of them to move, to get up. They need to get up. They're confined to a chair, and they're going to get in trouble if they get up. But if they drop their pencil, they can get up because now they have a reason. But then they wind up getting in trouble. So teachers got to understand that. Understand, parents, your child's attention span. How long is your kid's attention span? Most kids' attention spans are not big to begin with. So you take an ADHD, or you probably cut that in half. So if that's what it is, then hey, listen, every 15 minutes, maybe put in the 504 plan or the IEP, stand up, walk around your desk, walk around the classroom, go get a drink of water, something that is going to help you for the next 20 minutes. Oh, you can help your child for the next 20 minutes to be able to sit down. And the same thing when you're working with them at home. RBT is the same thing. Hey, listen, sometimes these kids, they just need a break. And I'm not meaning to tell RBTs what to do. It's just for the new ones. I mean, I've been through it. I've sat with children many times, and I know how to get their attention. I like to be silly. I like to, you want to have a kid mimic to you? I've proven to my daughter over and over and over again. Every single time I go to her house, I sit with her daughter 15 minutes and teach her something, and she says it every time. Can't believe it. Oh, she's not saying this. I go to her house and she does, because I just sit there. I don't know. It's just a way, maybe the way I say, I don't know. I just kind of know how to connect. I kind of drop to their level, and I don't know. I like to be silly. I think through play is a great way, you know, to teach these kids. So another thing I did in the home was I literally set up, bedtime, and I stood by it. Nothing would make me break his routine. Bedtime was 9 o'clock. Wake up time, I think, was 7 or 6:45 when he was in elementary, because he would catch a bus. Dinner time I tried to have every day at the same time. Like, everything was structure, and he had to take a shower at the same time. And you know, everything was like, if you did everything, I had charts. I mean, I have books here on what I have set up. I have books that topics to talk about. Okay, I have this page plus about, I don't know, 10 more. So I have almost or more than 100 topics that I have set up in my binders. So if a kid is struggling with something, I try to incorporate their struggle in their teaching. So let's say they had a bad day. I like to open up that page and say, okay, you had a bad day. Well, let's see what having a bad day talks about. And then what it does is it kind of guides you to conversate on those topics. And I always like to, I'm a really positive person, so I like to incorporate positive affirmations, and always look at a negative situation in a positive way. So if a child is struggling, I'll go ahead and I'll throw the sandwich rule. If, let's say, they're struggling in math, I'll go ahead and I'll throw the sandwich rule in there. Hey, listen, I think you're awesome in reading. You read that book, man, like a champ. I understand you're struggling in math, and you know, we're gonna get you tutoring, or you know, we're gonna help you get to where you gotta be. But man, reading, you're really awesome. And so you bring up their self-esteem, and they don't feel so bad about doing bad because you brought them up about the reading. And that's what kids need. They need uplifting. They don't need for us to break them down. They need for us to lift them up. And I tell everybody, and I'll continue to tell everybody, I didn't raise my son. I built my son. I built him. I built him, and that's the way I look at it. And I'm not going to let nobody break him down. I'm very careful. Everybody knows. I did a great job. People know I did a good job. My son never leaves the table without saying thank you after dinner. He always says please. He will never, ever, ever have a person say that he was rude. He's helpful. He goes after those who struggle with mental illness, and he guides them and he helps them. And I instilled that in him, and he's like a mimic of me. And I'm really, really, really proud of that, because it shows what a job I did. And I'm not looking for recognition. My goal was that vision that I had. That was my goal. That's what drove me to do it. So I'm not looking for a thank you. Contrary, I thank him, and I thank God for the opportunity. And that's how I see it. I have topics on, you know, kids who bite, who are dishonest, who throw fits, who, like I got, my son never did any of that, thankfully. He did bite though when he was little, but all kids go through little things like that. but over the years, I've just learned kids, they call for attention. This is one of my books that just talks about, I actually have like behavior plans and like, this is one of the plans, the BPI, behavior intervention plan. And I just have all different plans, parents. I mean, I got all kinds of buck rewards, desk reminders, as I showed you here. These are really important. What I do is I use use desk reminders to keep the children on focus, in focus, should I say, and the rewards that they get, such as this, listen, like I said, I like to incorporate rewards that that kids learn from. So what's a fun way to teach a child something yet having them earn it? In other words, I'm going to have my child understand math, and by understanding math, we're going to learn how to decorate strawberries. Well, the reward is to decorate strawberries, but in reality, it's a win-win situation because now they're working towards learning that math. So they're going to put a little bit more effort into paying attention and focusing because they want to decorate the strawberry. Now, once they decorate the strawberries, hey, now your kiddo knows how to decorate a strawberry. That's why I like to do always learning activities. I know it sounds a little anal, but that's the way I do it. There's different programs that they have. They have like the tic-tac-toe program. The tic-tac-toe, what that is you could set 6 or 9 little boxes of little tasks for the kids to do and let them choose. And if they do the tasks, they earn the reward. So it's kind of a challenge. You kind of want to mix fun things with, the educational. Even sometimes in the beginning, incorporate one educational and 2 fun, while still maintaining it educational. So you really got to be creative. Some of the things that you could offer, a lot of parents are like, oh, but you know what? It's going to drive me poor. No, it won't. You could do so many things that are like free. You don't even need to spend a dime. You got the ingredients at home. Or let's say you're gonna make strawberries. Well, you gotta buy strawberries anyway. Like the time to write on the dry erase board. Oh God, kids love to do that. Stickers, you give them extra bucks. Let them play with videos, TV time, movie time. There's just so many things you could offer, and it doesn't even cost anything. Now, one thing that I do want to say is when my son was diagnosed, when he was about 8 years old, after I started, planning, the plan, I took his TV out of his room and didn't allow any electronics in his room. And I think that was one of the best things I did. I don't think children need to have TVs in their room. When they go to sleep, they're going to go ahead, when we're sleeping, they wake up at night, they're going to go ahead, turn the TV on, and that, we don't want that. I recommend no electronics in their room. And I literally timed everything. I would turn the internet off of his specific device at nighttime. So if he did get a hold of his iPad for whatever reason, even though it was given to me every night, it had to be turned in the event that if I forgot or whatever, it was off anyway. He couldn't get to it. He couldn't do anything. So that's how controlled I had it. And that's really, really important. It's not controlling your kid. It's controlling the environment to get him to where he needs to be. That's just the way I see it. Now, never, ever, ever lose hope. Never lose hope. Never think that your kid's not going to get to where he's got to get to. Have the vision that he is going to get to where he's going to get to. All you got to do is motivate him. Always include him. Let him talk. A lot of times parents, they talk a lot, ADHDers and kids with autism. They want to express themselves, and sometimes it takes long to get out, but let them express themselves. Don't shut them down. I mean, encourage them. By you talking to them, you can learn so much. By me talking to my son and having him talk to me, I learn every conversation we have something. And it's really, really, really important. Let them talk. You could understand their brain by listening to them talk. and listen to their words, listen to what's bothering him. um, um, just listen. It helps. Setting rules. When you create rules, there's always one parent that's more dominant than the other. But you got to understand, don't set rules that you're not going to stick to, or they're not reasonable for the kid, because all you're doing is setting everybody up for failure. Set rules that make sense and that are applicable to your child's need. In other words, that it'll teach him something. Don't give him a rule that if he breaks it, he's not going to learn anything if you punish him. Like, do things smart. Do things that, again, you may not have the ability, or you may not be able to do it the same as you would with a normal child who's not on the spectrum. So sometimes you gotta, again, be creative. Create rules that are in tune with your goal and where you want your child to get to. And always be fair and balanced when setting rules. Don't go overboard and say, I'm going to give you 3 weeks punishment for something he did that was minor. You don't need to punish him for 3 weeks. I mean, you're torturing the kid. Not torturing them, but, give it based on their age and the severity and I mean, parents, we all know, but sometimes I've seen parents do it for way too long, and I don't think it should be, it should all be based on what they did and what's appropriate for their age, and go from there. You could offer, for good behavior, there's so many things you could offer these children when they're young. Again, I mean, I have all these things here. Education is always good. Movie night, ice cream, sleepover, helping you, make snacks, bake a cake, do a surprise for a family member. Be involved. Keep them involved. Do a photo shoot. I like cameras. I think cameras are great for children. It helps them look you in the eye, because they're always in front of the camera. Hey, you gotta look at the lens. In ABA therapy, you always want to, be like this. We're teaching, look at my finger, look at an object, so they could, and then you pull it away and they look at you in the eye. Well, the same thing kind of like with the camera. You could dress them up like a princess. What little girl doesn't like to be a princess? Firefighter for the boys. I don't know. You could play games. There's a trip to the park. I'm telling you, there's so many things that you don't have to spend money on to get these kids to where you want to be. Now, reminders. These kids need constant reminders. Don't think because you told your child 500 times that you don't need to tell them another 500 or 1,000 more. You literally have to repeat yourself over and over and over again. It's like a non-stop revolving door with repeating yourself. It goes around and around and around. But I promise you, it will not be in vain. It will click eventually. You just got to keep on. And when they're teenagers, you got to hit it harder. You just got to pound those conversations in their head. You just got to do it. Like I said, the desk reminders. I like desk reminders because you get to put them on. Here, let me go ahead and take one off of here. You get to put them on the child's desk, and what it does is, I actually use them for my son. I've had them on a refrigerator and on his desk, of course. That's why I made them. Like when the teacher goes by, if he's not doing his work, or if he just like blurted out, instead of raising his hand, or he raised his hand and he said, I know the question, blah, 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 whatever. The teacher could just go to his desk and point at what he did wrong, instead of saying, hey, Lewis. His name is Lewis Jeremiah. We call him Jeremiah. But hey, Lewis, remember, you're not supposed to do that. Or just point, point at the at what he did wrong, and that eliminates the child being called out, being embarrassed, being called on. So that's the way I did those. Foods. You could offer foods as rewards to children. But you really want to look at the colors that foods have, because colors are like, for anybody, it's not healthy. And a lot of them really like trigger that. One day I just bought a whole bunch of stuff from Walmart. I mean, I read every label, looked at the sugar content, the whole entire 9 yards. I looked and I said, you know what? Let me read this. And I did. I read everything. And I brought that box home, including ice cream. And I put the ice cream in the freezer. And I came home and I said, Jeremiah, the doctor has a brand new recipe for you. And he was like, okay. And I was like, what? He like adapted to it right away. And so I eliminated a lot of the sugars. Parents, if you go to Aldi's has a lot of good foods that are made with natural colorings, like with turmeric or beets or stuff like that, instead of using the ugly colors that we don't need. I heard like a lot of macaroni and cheese and stuff like that isn't good. I kind of didn't pay too much attention to that, but that is what I did here. Again, I've used timers, I've used reports. You know, a lot of time when my son did something wrong, I would make him sit down and do a report on, after watching like a YouTube video. If it was in school, he had apologized to whoever did it to, come home, watch a video, write a report on why it was wrong, what he learned, and then write an apology letter. And he never did it again. And I would, he makes videos once in a while. He doesn't like to make videos all that often, but once in a while he'll be, ready and he'll make a video, and I let him talk about his struggles and how he managed it, and what bothered him and how he got through, and all these things that I think is helpful for parents. You know, when he was growing up, you know, he had his little things. He once had a thing with a lighter, and I took him right to the fire station. The fire station had him help clean the fire station. The firefighters had him clean the fire station. It never happened again. So sometimes you got to really like be proactive and don't let something slip. No, you got to take care of it. And these children, they're smart. They'll learn. They know what they can do and they can't do. They know what they can get away with and what they cannot get away with. Therapy is very, very, very beneficial for these children. I recommend, if you have a child on the spectrum, that they do get into some kind of therapy. Don't ignore it. Don't say it'll improve. Get them therapy. I talk very clear and detailed, you know, on what I need my child to do, or any child. I'm very detailed. I break it down. It's kind of like the forward chaining type of thing. I tell the child exactly how it needs to be done by breaking it down. For example, I need you to clean your room. I don't just tell your child I need you to clean your room because they're going to just pick up what they think needs to be picked up. In your vision, it's completely different. I need you to pick up every sock, every pair of underwear. I need you to put your shoes in the corner. I need you to make your bed, and obviously you'll have to make a list because they're not going to remember all this. And then you have them check off once again. The dry erase board. I told you I live by dry erase boards. And then you have them check it off as they do it. Be very detailed. Don't just think that they're going to do what you're thinking. It's like you just got to be very specific. And then, you know, when they finish their room, you tell them, good job. And then you use the sandwich rule again. I think you did a really good job, but I think you could have done better if you would have put these shoes away and you would have picked up those 2 socks. But you did a good job overall. So you made him feel good about it, and maybe next time he'll put more attention to it. Because you told him it nicely. You ended it on a positive note. When you write things on dry erase boards, don't write anything negative. Always write positive things. Positive brings up, negative brings down. We don't want to bring your child down. We want to lift your child up always. Always, always, always. And just try to always understand, try to always understand your child. Try to understand, why is he thinking the way he's thinking? What makes him sad? What makes him tick? What makes him happy? What makes him angry? What makes him smart? What makes him put forth more attention? What motivates him? What intrigues him? And take all of what you learn through that and take it as power. Now, this is another book that I have. Now, in this book, I call it my book of success. Gosh, I have so many things. I'll show you that one in a minute. I'm gonna come back to this page right here. And we're gonna show these are just more of the pocket reminders. Okay, but we're gonna go ahead and pass all this. I mean, I have so many. I like to give awards. Let me go ahead and just turn it my way and show you where it's more easy. I like to give awards. I like to give praise. When a child does good and reaches something, you make a really big deal about it, because that motivates him to do it again. Trust me, it motivates him to do it again. I mean, I have to-do lists. I have all kinds of my routine. I would have taken them all out, but I didn't want to do that. And then we have all kinds of bucks. This one's going to be easier for me. We've got all kinds of bucks, reward bucks. I mean, you just got to be creative. I mean, I got all kinds. How to spend your bucks. I did it. I mean, things that you could spend your bucks on. I mean, so many motivational things that these kids need. It's not like, oh yeah, you could use it. They benefit so much from it. See, every single one of these, it's different. Okay. Sometimes kids just need a mommy and daddy moment. In other words, just mommy and daddy. You could use that as a reward. I mean, you could use these rewards. They're endless. The ideas are like literally endless. I just have so many, all different ones, because every child is different and every child is motivated on something different. What motivated my child may not motivate your child. But you know, in the end, parents, that page that I said we'll get back to, in the end, you know what makes it worth it? When that same board that you've used over the years to put positive messages and affirmations and sandwich rules and the rules and all that good stuff, when it's replaced with this, I don't think there's words that are needed there. When it's replaced with that, my goal was met. I met my goal. Took a lot of work, a lot of organizing, a lot of fighting, a lot of emailing, a lot of meetings, a lot of headaches, lots of rewards. But now, I'm enjoying the fruits to my labor. He doesn't have those struggles. The struggles pretty much are all gone. He'll always have that little concentration problem, but you know, with getting his mind off. But he understands, he knows how to manage it. He understands when he loses focus, he knows how to get himself back on schedule or on task. The only thing I have to tell you, parents, is raising a child with special needs is not easy. But It's your child and your responsibility to get that child all the help he can get. I promise you, all of those fighting and emails and moments of discouragement and all of those moments of struggles that you're gonna pass or have passed or are passing through, it's gonna be worth it. Because in the end, you're gonna have built a child well-grounded. For all you RBTs out there, these children are beautiful people. Sometimes all they need is just a little bit more understanding. Make things fun. I like to make things silly. I like to, before I start a session, I like to meet with the child and check out their mood. Now, when I say a session, I mean my photo session because I'm a photographer. It's pretty much almost the same thing because we need them to do a task. That's why I'm so good at what I do, because I've kind of practiced it for so many years. I meet with the child the day before or a week before, and I will sit with him, see what he likes. And when I go to the photo shoot, I have a surprise for him or her. And now that I motivated them to do good in the session, they already know what they got to do because we already went over it, and now we just have to go ahead and make it work. And that's how I'm able to execute my plan so well in every photo session. And parents always ask me, how did you do it? Well, that's how I do it. And that's really all it takes. Once the child understands that you're not budging, you're not giving in other words, once you start implementing these rules in the home, you talk to your kids before you implement a system in your home. Tell them, hey, listen, bud, we're going to go ahead and we're going to start this new system. And I think it's going to be a benefit for you. It's going to help you grow. It's going to help you struggle less. And it's going to help you get rewards just like you like. And you go ahead and you motivate him and put it in words that will attract his ears and his mind and get him, and like motivated. That way, when a therapist does come over, they're motivated. Or you, when you implement the plan, look, we're going to do things like this. We're at 8 o'clock. We're going to take a shower at 8 o'clock. Hey, listen, this is a great way. If you're able to do it at 8 o'clock all week, we're going to go ahead and give you this. And you have him choose. You give him the choices. Hey, you want this or this? Or you want this or this? And whatever he likes, you go ahead. And then you could even switch it up. Okay, well, he picked this. All right, now you want this or this? And then still have him pick whatever he likes. Maybe he'll still pick the same thing, or maybe he'll pick the whatever. You just gotta have all these choices, and God Almighty, it's just a whole lot of work, but it's very rewarding. It's in the end, you have a child who's able to walk into society well grounded. That's the way I see it. Now, in my other big old book, yes, I'm telling you, I got all kinds of books. In my other book, this is, I call like my book of feelings. In here, I have all kinds of, again, pages. For example, here, I like to talk about feelings. Like before I start a session, as I was saying earlier, I like to get a feel for how the child, what the mood is of that child. That way I know how to work with the moment, because children dominate the moment. We just need to know how to work with it. I kind of say I like to step into the rim of their brain to see, how they are, how they're feeling. That way, I know how to manage. I know how to talk to them without getting them more irritable. And I think that's one of the really good things that I have. That if they were, this is about self-esteem and good things like that. That if they were to escalate, I kind of, by nature, know how to de-escalate a problem really quick. And one of the things is when a kid starts throwing a tantrum, just don't pay any mind to him. You talk about it when his tantrum is completely over, and you will get way more far ahead on both sides. In other words, for you and for him. So I have, from planning for the future, I kind of, this whole entire book is like about anything and everything you could possibly have a child do. like, or talk about. Here, let me just do it like this because this is a little bit uncomfortable. Sorry about that. For example, hearing the word no. Okay, well, it talks about, it's kind of like an intro onto the subject, and then, you know, parents, you know, we adults, we got to know how to roll from there. You know, and then talking about mom and what you like about mom and what motivates you with mom. And I mean, I feel loved. I mean, pages and pages and pages of things that I will literally go ahead and pick a few, depending on who the child is, what the age is, and what they like, and what, you know, what the struggle is, and work with them from there. And again, I like to make it fun. I like to incorporate the giggles and the laughter so it becomes comfortable, so the kid is now relaxed, he feels good with me, he feels safe. Now we can go ahead and go with the program. You let the kid know we're going to play for a little bit, but when the timer goes off, then we have to do some work. And then we'll put the timer on again, and we'll say when the timer goes off, we'll have a few minutes of fun again. And you alternate. And at the end of the day, they get their reward. Now, if you're able to do that 5 days or whatever days of the week you have therapy, then at the end of the week, parents, it's important you give them their reward. You can't tell a child you're going to do something and not do it. That's wrong for anybody. So don't try to bribe your kid and then not give them something, because that's wrong. Now, talking about bribe, is it bribing? It may be, but look at the benefits of it if you see it as bribery. If you do this, then you get this. Well, those little gifts, it's not to do something for you to gain from. It's something to have your child gain from. It's something to build your child so when he reaches of age, he could get a job. Well, number one, graduate high school, get a job, and live a normal life. Whatever you deposit now is what you're going to be able to withdraw from. In other words, see the benefits tomorrow. If you don't deposit a strong foundation today, you're going to get a weak structure tomorrow. Don't be that parent that I should have, could have, would have. No, your kid needs you. Your kid needs you more than anybody. Your kid needs you more than any therapist, any teacher. It is you. And it is you who's responsible for the mental health of your child. And whatever help you seek for them now is doing a major benefit for their tomorrow. So don't hold back. Don't feel that ashamed that your kid has an issue. No. Why? I didn't tell anybody in my family that my son had ADHD until he was about 12 years old, about 5 years later. I didn't want anybody to discriminate him, to push him aside, to make him feel different. We didn't use his diagnosis in my house. His diagnosis was not an excuse. These children, they just have a little imbalance. Don't think of them as different. They just have a little imbalance. Some need more guidance than others. Some need to be on medication while others may not be. It is what it is. But the point is, we need to get these kids the help that they need today. For all of the educators out there, if a parent comes to you in need, scared, unsure on what to do with their child, if they come to you with symptoms that their child may have something, remember, we parents, we don't know. You guys see it all the time. Help. Don't push the child away. I know it's easier to ignore the problem than it is to take care of the problem. But if we don't take care of the problem today, that problem is going to take care of us tomorrow. And it may not always be the right way. So let's eliminate the unnecessary today by giving these children what they need. It's okay to seek out therapy. It's okay to seek out help. It's okay to include the outsiders to come in and help. If family members don't want to be involved, we can't force them. Thankfully, I didn't have that problem. But if you got that problem, unfortunately, it's not your child who's missing out. It's the people. Do what you got to do. Get involved. Be involved in every part of the way. Know what the therapists are doing. Know what the educators are doing. Know where your child is. Know what level he's at. Know how he learns. Know what makes him mad. Know what makes him happy. And understand his brain. Dissect every conversation you have with him and try to understand. Have him draw pictures. Look in his mind through his words, through his paintings, through his writing, through his pictures, through his actions. Learn, and from there you have the foundation to help your child, to give him that foundation that he needs to be a successful person later in life. I want to thank you very much. Once again, I want to just go ahead and show you implementing a reward system into your child's life could be a benefit. RBTs, we are known for doing that. It's a great way. I think parents, you have the ability to do it just as good, if not better, than the RBTs out there, because you know your child, as I said. Just offering them little rewards. Look, bubbles. What kid doesn't like bubbles? Bubbles. You could sit down and do your homework. We'll give you a pack of bubbles. Here. Donuts. Most kids like donuts, especially little girls like to bake. Hey, listen, if you could sit there, if you could take a shower all week, Saturday morning, we will wake up and make donuts. Those kids, you just give them reminders what they're working for. Let them see it. Let them see it. Keep it visual. Keep it visual where they see it. Keep them motivated. Okay, concentrate. Remind them every day. When they do good, let them know. Keep them up. Keep them lifted up always. Let them know that they're doing awesome. Write it everywhere. Everywhere you can. In their book bag. Everywhere. On the board. In the refrigerator. Toys. Buy toys. You could even, if you're scheduling a trip to Disney World, you could even you want to plan a trip. You could use that trip to get one of those hardest things to get your child to do. You can get him to do it by offering that darn trip to Disney World. I promise you not. Okay? Use every single thing that interests your child as a reward. Okay? There's many, many, many things. Lots are free. Some you got to buy. But in the end, you're getting your child to where he needs to be. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, please just go ahead and leave a comment. I will try to reply as quick as possible. Never give up. Never lose hope. Always believe. Always let your child know that you believe in him. And always, always, always try your best. Don't think that you didn't try hard enough. Okay? Doing something is better than nothing. Educate yourself. Get yourself out there. Learn. Get involved. Get involved with other parents with the same disability. Learn. Communicate. I know there's Facebook pages out there. I know there's obviously I'm making this for one of the pages, but know that there's resources out there. They're becoming more and more of. So there's help out there. You just got to go out there and seek it. But always remember, you parents have the very first step and in control of your child during this journey. Everybody else follows you. You do not follow nobody. You are the leader of your son's life. Go and do the best you can. Have a great, blessed day.